Political controversy continues in Georgia, where a former footballer has been named as the country's new president amid a constitutional crisis. Mikheil Kavelashvili is seen as pro-Russian and is a hardline critic of the West. His election was boycotted by the opposition, who have described the process as illegitimate.
This is Georgia's new president, Mikheil Kavelashvili, a former football player turned right-wing politician elected by a parliament largely controlled by the pro-Russian Georgian Dream Party. The opposition boycotted the process, describing it as, quote, illegitimate. Many Georgians protested outside the country's parliament. They believe the ruling party wants to consolidate power and damage the country's aspirations of joining the European Union.
The second they were elected, they attacked the one thing that there is a huge consensus in Georgian society about, and this also damages the shred of legitimacy that they might have. So we do not recognize this parliament as a legitimate parliament.
We call that more and more people understand how important it is to raise their voice now, because tomorrow we might not be able to do that.
Georgia's current pro-Western president has refused to step down and is demanding a new parliamentary election. She had this to say on Friday.
I'm not going anywhere. I won't leave anyone behind. I'm here, and I will be here, because at this moment this country absolutely needs a legitimate institution, a part of legitimate government that is truly elected and which reflects the voice of this country, of this society.
The ruling Georgian Dream Party announced in late November that it was postponing its effort to join the European Union. Since then, thousands of outraged pro-Europe Georgians have demonstrated and asked for the removal of the government. And now, with the election of the new president, demonstrators have vowed to protest until their voices are heard.
Let's get more from our correspondent, Georgians in Tbilisi. Hello, Georgians. The opposition has been protesting for days and nights. The government today called on its supporters to also make their voices heard. Tell us more.
Yes, Eddie, the government has called on its supporters to come to the parliament building tonight. The government was planning to light up the Christmas decorations there. However, the event was cancelled last minute, and the Tbilisi mayor, who is from the ruling Georgian Dream Party, has blamed the pro-EU protesters for spoiling this event. I was there and I was able to see a few dozen of government supporters. However, the square is clearly dominated by the anti-government and pro-EU protesters. You can actually see now behind my back the Rustaveli Avenue. Some people are coming back from the protest. Some people are still going to the parliament building. There are definitely thousands of people there tonight. However, it's a cold night in Tbilisi, -2, -3 degrees Celsius, so the crowd is visibly smaller than, let's say, a week ago.
Right. So the opposition calls today's vote illegitimate. But on what grounds?
Well, basically, the opposition has been boycotting the parliament ever since the general election back in October. Officially, this election was won by the ruling Georgian Dream Party. They have the parliament majority now, but the opposition, as well as the incumbent President Salome Zourabichvili, they've claimed that this election was stolen, rigged, due to alleged irregularities like voters' intimidation or cases of double voting. So they are calling for new general election, and this is also why the opposition didn't show up to the parliament today for the election of the new president. Mikheil Kavelashvili was chosen by the ruling majority, but the opposition is calling him illegitimate.
Right, you mentioned the new president. Let's talk a bit about him. Tell us about Mikheil Kavelashvili. Why is he so controversial?
He's a former football player. He's 53 years old, and he joined politics just a few years ago with the Georgian Dream ruling party. And he's considered a hardliner, famous for his loud anti-Western rhetoric. And as MP, he was the one who was often proposing the more radical ideas. He was one of the initiators of the so-called foreign agents law, which cracked down on non-governmental organizations receiving funding from abroad. So critics and the opposition are saying that he will be working closely with the government and he will facilitate what they see as the turn away from the EU under the current government.
Right, because now we are in a precarious / interesting situation where the sitting president, Salome Zourabichvili, sides with the opposition and says she won't step down. Surely there can't be two sitting presidents. What's going to happen now?
Exactly. The pro-EU president, Zourabichvili, is also calling today's election illegitimate. She has already announced that she will not leave the office until there is new general election and until there is a new legitimate parliament in place. And she has also announced that she will not leave the presidential palace on December 29th, when her term officially ends. The government is obviously demanding that she leaves the presidential palace. Just last week, the parliament majority has stripped the incumbent president of security after her term ends. So the standoff between the incumbent president and the government is continuing, and it will be even more intensive in the coming 2 weeks.
All right, we'll be monitoring the situation to see how it goes. DW correspondent Grzegorz Szymanowski, thank you.